Hey beauties, welcome to the Yoga Revealed podcast. My name is Bryant Wood, your honorary host this week. I got interviewed by Alec a couple weeks ago. Please go check that out. And I was so awe-inspired by what he was sharing in that short amount of time. I wanted to ask him questions personally, and we get to do that. So stay tuned for this whole hour where we get to dive into how yoga revealed itself to him throughout his life, some golden nuggets, and some fun questions at the end. I'm so honored to be here, so grateful to be a part of the family with all of you. And again, this is Yoga Revealed Podcast. Welcome to the Yoga Revealed Podcast. My name is Bryant Wood, and I have the honor to interview Alec, the founder, the director, the person that's bringing this home. Alec, we're so honored to have you on here on Yoga Reveal. The whole audience knows you intimately, but do they know your story? That's the question. You interviewed me 2 weeks ago, and every touch point that we had, every intention that you set was so heart-opening and grounding and specific and masterful that I was like, I have so many questions for you. Like I've truly gotten to sit with, masters from around the world, Sri Ravi Shankar, Deepak Chopra, like all these beautiful, incredibly intelligent, high vibrational beings. And when I met you, I was like, you are the new age. You are the new age liberation. You're holding so many codes, and also okay, we're just gonna get right into it. So everyone, this is Alec. Can't wait for all of us to get to know him even better. So Alec, when was yoga first revealed to you?
First off, wow. My heart is like beaming in expansion right now. And I'm so grateful that we're connected and that we're here and our listeners. Thank you for inviting me to be interviewed by you. And that's never happened. And I'm all reflected love you. Oh my God, oneness. It's so beautiful. Okay, so how was yoga first revealed to me? Well, there's a little pre-context. So in high school, I grew up in Kentucky, and my mom would always ask me to go to yoga. I literally said to her, yoga's for girls. I'm not interested. And then 2 years later, I was at CU Boulder and I was studying Chinese, and my best friend Kiefer, I got a double major in Chinese and Asian studies from CU Boulder. Not many people know that about me. I was amazing. Be a translator for the UN. Like that was my path. Where I was like, and I was good at Chinese. And if you know language, I had memorized over 3,500 characters, and I was freaking good. I had straight A's. And
can you give us a little bit of Chinese?
Wo ai ni, I love you. Well, Jue de ni de hun hao de peng you. You were one of my good friends or something. I don't know. It's been a long time, but that was once upon a time. That was that was over 10 years ago. So I haven't really studied in 10 years. But anyhow, it's my sophomore year of college, and Kiefer just calls me up. Kiefer Avi, still one of my best friends to this day, and he's like, Alec, let's go to the yoga class on the hill. It's a core power class. It's a good one. Let's go check it out. And I was like, I'm not really interested. He was like, dude, it's college. Try a new thing. And I was like, okay, fine. So I go. Disclosure, I take a bong rip, and then I go. First off, I told myself I'm never doing that again, taking a bong rip before this yoga class, because that was like the hardest thing in the entire world. And for the yoga teachers listening on the podcast, I was in that room, and I was a fire that needed to be put out. I had no awareness of my body in space. I was like waiting to hurt myself. And something happened in that first hour when I just knew. I was really elevated, but I just knew that I found the missing link that was going to bring me closer to myself, because having grown up in high school in Kentucky with 40 people in my class for the first 13 years, I was held back a grade. It wasn't really safe to feel what you feel. And it wasn't safe to be a man and to express myself in an emotional capacity in a way. And I noticed in that first yoga class, it was safe to feel. And I'll just finish this part of the question. At the end of the class, Shavasana, right? And then come to sitting up. everyone put their hands to their heart and they did this crazy thing where they started making a sound out of their mouth like an ohm. And I wanted to run the other direction, and I didn't want to put my hands to my heart. Whoa. I was willing to lean into that because now I'm chanting every day and I bring my hands to my heart as a sign of love of the divinity I can see in myself. And when I really check in into presence, I can see that with you too. So that's how yoga was first revealed to me, man.
So beautiful, and there's so much grounded wisdom in that. One of the most awe-inspiring conversations we had is when you referenced the retreats that you do once a year, these trainings that you take. And mind you, I would like to preference this as Alec has found a way to bust loose from the matrix that is life. Anyone that can be completely present for a month with whatever they're doing has figured out something that we have a lot to learn from. So please dive into it.
Wow. Okay. So shortly after that first practice, that core power yoga on the hill, I was like, I want to be one of those people. I'm so inspired by these yoga teachers who are, I get chills, like chicken skin, as they say in Hawaii, because I saw these people leading other humans through navigating this inner working of mind, body, soul. It was so new, learning the chakras and spirituality at the hub of Boulder, Colorado, like a mecca of yoga in America. And I was like, all right, let's go. I want it. I want to experience it. Let's go. So I signed up for these first trainings. Like it was just a yogi training. It was like, maybe like, 50 hours in a couple weeks or something, not much. And I got one-on-one attention from a coach, right? A yoga teacher. And I became very close with that man over the next several years of my life. His name's Richie Jai. And soon after that, I was like, I want to teach. So I took this teacher training in core power yoga. And I remember in that first training 9 years ago, South Boulder Core Power Yoga in the Moon Room. They gave us this notepad. I still have this note card rather. And they're like, why are you here? Why do you want to be here? And I wrote down my why. And a part of that why was to own, at the time, a Core Power Yoga branch, but that has very much evolved, right? I want my own thing, and it will happen one day in its own divine time, my own shala, my own studio space. I have my own vision. It's very much separated from what core power yoga is. Never forget where you come from. I'm so grateful for what core power yoga has taught me. And also I have moved in my own direction of studying a depth of different lineage, which answers this question. In that first training, I saw the importance of the student and teacher relationship. I was learning from all these different teachers in Boulder, Colorado, right? Going from teacher to teacher, class to class. And in that first training, I felt this. How am I supposed to teach this? This is one training. Like, I don't know anything. I want to know more. I want to learn more. I want to study more. So I was like, okay, I'm going to take one training per year for the next 10 years. I made a promise to myself. I had no idea the magnitude of that promise. Financially, what it would mean. Energetically, what it would demand. And the insight that would absorb into my cells for me to move through my limiting facade of what I thought reality was and into how I can unify mind, body, soul, and yoke the experience of yoga through the lens that I was seeing these different teachers teach yoga of their experience for me to do the same. So I committed to that. And it went from, power vinyasa yoga for a couple trainings into Ashtanga yoga for a couple trainings, a couple years into where I am now with Iyengar inspired approach through yoga on the inside, as my teacher Eddie and Kristen Bostiels call what we practice. It's the yoga on the inside. So I just saw this iceberg of yoga, Brian, and I wanted to tackle it, knowing that it literally
love that
cosmos. It's an infinite iceberg. Yeah, it's an iceberg of insight and knowledge, and We look at these great teachers that you've studied with, and they're the same. They're constantly invested in svadhyaya, that self-study. And I find that that's so important, especially when it comes to the student-teacher relationship and holding that. So yeah,
I wanted to acknowledge you for your willingness to transform and to say yes to other lineages of study.
It was hard.
It's hard. And I believe that just like the seasons, we outgrow some of our practices and we allow new ones. So going into why you've specifically chosen Iyengar and what are some of the key fundamental nuggets of wisdom that you've received from that? And what is the process of doing those retreats and studying with those teachers?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I feel that it's important to highlight that. I remember I said to one of my teachers, I can't remember who it was. I said, I just feel like I've plateaued, like learning, and like I'm getting something, and then it just plateaued. And I was just like, for almost like 8 months, just doing the same thing. It was almost like this practice became a repetition, in that it almost became mundane, and I wasn't learning anymore, and I had just stalled. And that might have been at the end of my vinyasa period. So then I was like, and my partner at the time was like, dude, you got to go check out Ashtanga Yoga. I feel like that's your upgrade. And I feel that it comes down to us being open to the universe, to spirit, to God, whatever anyone wants to put in front of that word. Because Alec couldn't bring his hands to his heart because the word God triggered me 10 years ago. Okay, so that whatever word feels good for you, put the universe there and be open. We have to be open to the reflections of Bryant, the reflections of Andrew, the reflections of this person who is like triggering you, and be open to what comes through. So for me, that was Ashtanga Yoga. And then I plateaued. And my plateau actually came from tearing my shoulder. I tore my shoulder labrum because I was going deep into Ashtanga Yoga, and I was chasing the yoga asana, and I was brinking third series. And then Eddie, because of this podcast, I interviewed him. And I remember on that first interview in June of 2016, tears fell from my eyes because I was staring at a true embodiment of yoga that I sought to become myself. And at the end of that interview, I said, where are you teaching next? How can I be there? I want in. And I went to Maui with him. And that's when I essentially overnight quit Ashtanga Yoga, and it took on his body of work, which is very much Iyengar inspired. I don't go to Iyengar yoga classes. I'm not an Iyengar teacher. I'm studying from Iyengar teachers, Manuso Manos, H.S. Arun, who have both been the teachers who have taught Eddie Modestini, as well as Pattabhi Jois Ashtanga Yoga, to Eddie Modestini. And so I'm studying in this approach because to me, it embodies what Eddie calls self-reliant healing systems. And I love that so much, Brian. I love that the yoga for me has gone from chasing, pushing, making something happening to creating a space of surrender with necessary action, while learning how to cultivate a skill set, a certain skill set that addresses one's emotional needs, physical needs, and spiritual needs on an ever-changing daily basis, right? And so that's why I practice what I practice right now, man. And this morning, my practice was really simple. It was 30 minutes of pranayama, 20 minutes of meditation, and one yoga asana. It was like 75 minutes. And that was my practice today. It felt good. It was restorative.
That's a beautiful practice. 75 minutes for yourself is great. Going into, because you're also an incredible teacher. Like I've seen the videos that you've created. I've heard you speak on Clubhouse. And also getting to know you more and more. You have students in places that you teach. Are you creating your own form, or is there, like, do you thrive within structure and find your authenticity within that? Or are you creating something from your experience that is uniquely you as much as you're just a vessel for this? How does that work?
Yeah, it's a great question. I want to be able to teach under the frame of yoga on the inside. I want to be able to support my teachers, Eddie and Kristen, while building something and one day have a studio here in Boulder, Colorado after all this COVID madness is done. And I've got a little more of my own money in the bank so I can keep the doors open without having to hustle yoga. Not my intent. And I will not go into an endeavor like that if it ever comes down to hustling a yoga, because that's not what yoga's for. Yoga is to serve. It's not to hustle.
Totally.
And this is totally different side topic. I totally want to be a yoga on the inside teacher. I'm in a teacher training right now. It's my 10th training of these past 10 years with Eddie and Kristen to create and receive that certification so I can teach that. And then through that, one day in my own studio, I know that it'll expand into what it's meant to, into my own structure and feeling. You know, I know it will.
Just something that comes up. You're saying this is your 10th training in this style. And you're
not in this
still not
style,
certified?
in the last 10 years, one training per year, the last 4 years of this work.
How many trainings do you need to do to be certified in this style?
I mean, just one, but I didn't take their online training last time because I was resistant to doing it online. But there's some perks to it doing online. And also that was the reason why, you know, I wasn't going to take a training this year. I was not going to do it. I was going to break my promise. And then when I thought about it, I was like, all right, let's get devoted again and do this because I want to hold my promise and I'll get that certification and it'll be great. So I've gotten several 200 hours and a 500 hour, and I don't count the hours anymore, whatever.
Yeah. Okay. I love that. I think that's how it should be. I think beginner's mind is the new enlightenment.
Yeah. Wow.
It's just every moment is the miracle. And you touched my heart last time we spoke, and you talked about yoga being an act of service. And it sounds cliche and obvious, but the way you dove into it was from such deep experience. I would love for you to maybe address this for people that are listening right now.
Yeah, yoga as an act of service. So I remember when I was practicing at the yoga workshop in Boulder, Colorado, Ashtanga Yoga Days, Richard Freeman, Mary Taylor, Ty Landrum, incredible humans in the world. Oh my God, they're on the podcast. Check their interviews out. When we would walk out of the door, there would be these statements right above the door that said, ... for the benefit of others, ... we practice. And I feel that, like, my teacher just posed this question recently. Is yoga a lifestyle for you, or is it just a hobby, something that you return to every once in a while? Is breath work just a hobby that you return to, or is it a lifestyle? And to receive the benefits of any kind of practice that is of biohacking, it is of severing the self-limiting beliefs. Anything that serves ourselves indirectly becomes an act of service to the world. Our ripple effect is so potent. We're electromagnetic beings. And when we create the intention to sit within the throne of our own life, take ownership for it, cultivate a level of this internavigational system, and trusting such, it impacts others in a positive and powerful way.
Beautiful.
You know,
every day. That's why I'm here. I'm like totally with you on all this. I want to touch on this, and to premise it, I know that it's so much more in the consistency of the purification methods, but for the sake of the highs and lows of life, what was the most challenging, difficult experience that you chosen for your evolution, and what came through?
Well, it's potent that you use that intentional word, chosen, right? So April 10th, 2017, I got one of the worst phone calls I've ever gotten in my life. I had just finished 6 months of traveling in Southeast Asia. 3 months were in India, living with Eddie, studying with a senior Iyengar yoga teacher, after studying with Eddie for a month before. And I went traveling for the following 3 months. And then I landed in LA. I was in Andrew Seeley's back house room, and it was 1 a.m, and I got a bad phone call. And one of my best friends had just died suddenly. And my entire friend group was with each other for my buddy's birthday. Him and I share a birthday. Sean Hall and I share an April 7th birthday. So I'm about to be 30, which is awesome. And just got a bad phone call. So I was on the first flight back home. Hadn't been home in 6 months, 6 a.m. Eddie was the first person I called to talk to because I knew that he'd be up. It was 4 hours before in Hawaii. And I remember what he told me, because his whole thing is seeking comfort in discomfort. And I remember with, I was in shock. I was like, what? What? He's like not like physical form anymore? What does that mean? He's dead? I've seen people die, but not like that. I've had people in my life pass, but not like someone I talk to every day, my best friend. And Eddie told me, you don't seek comfort in this. You sit with this. You be with that grief. And we've got poses to be able to serve you. And then I called my mom. My mom took me back to Colorado on a 6 a.m. flight. She bought the flight for me, and I grieved with my tribe. And so I remember in that first 3 to 5 days, I was like, where's my yoga mat? And I was like, oh my God, I gave my yoga mat to Matt Lackey, and he was practicing Ashtanga yoga at the yoga workshop at the time. So I go to the yoga workshop. I know the code. It's early in the morning one day, and I open the workshop. No one's there. And I go over to the wall and I grab the yoga mat, and I just burst into tears because the last person to step on that mat was Matt. I'm looking at the mat right now. It's right in front of me, in front of my altar, and I practice on it every day. And so it's this long 12-foot Manduka mat, extra thick. And I started the grieving process. And that was one of the hardest experiences that I've gone through, because I remember in those first 6 months of his death, I stopped practicing yoga asana. I stopped meditating for twice a day, 20 minutes a day, which I'd been very adamant about for almost 5 years at the time, 4 years at the time. I'm back on. And I couldn't close my eyes. And in the approach to yoga that I've learned, when one is experiencing anxiety, depression, grief, extreme discomfort, it is important to keep the eyes open, but not like darting around if you're in Shavasana, just keeping the eyes open, still pointed focus, looking up at one point on the ceiling and just keeping your eyes open. It's a safer experience than closing the eyes and letting all these stories, experiences, and thoughts flood into the system, because it's dark in there. And to cultivate comfort in the discomfort sometimes means we just got to be radically uncomfortable. So that for me was the hardest experience that yoga has helped me push through adversity in. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. So deep on so many levels. Was this the brother that Reese knew as well?
Oh yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah, Reese was there. Reese was there. He had an important role that day.
We love you, Matt.
We love you, Matt Lackey. He's always there. One of the most inappropriate human beings I know.
Good. Oh, man. Okay, so then transitioning and flowing with this conversation, moving to the highs, I feel like you have those moments with your guru, which I commend you for having the humility and focus and awareness to dive into, because the direct transmission from guru to student, the current and the words, is what I've known to be the fastest way to ascension, whatever that means. And was there a moment where you felt that those truth bumps that you referenced from the guru, or was there a piece of information that you would like to share, or maybe a moment or an eye gaze? Like what has that been like through your in-depth study with these people?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's interesting. It's like, I know that my two teachers don't consider themselves gurus, and I don't call them gurus. However, I would call my Indian teacher, when I've seen him, like Guruji. I'll call him Guruji. or I'll call him Arunji, and he receives that. He's a Brahmin. He's Indian. That's their culture. It's not my culture. Our culture, Eddie, Kristen, they don't want to be called that, and they're too humble to say this or that. However, they are senior yoga teachers, and for me, I feel that the transmission that truly came through, I've said it before, and I'll expand upon it, is yoga as a self-reliant healing system. When I really first heard that, I was coming from a system that was more about chasing the yoga asana and getting it done, and then moving to the next and moving to the next and moving to the next. And Eddie saw me rushing to level 48 and put the reins on me and pulled me way back to stage 0. I remember when he asked me, what are your 3 favorite postures? What are your 3 most important postures? And I said, handstand, foot behind the head, and some other arm balance. And he looked at me and was like, oh boy, you, my friend, having work to do. And he was like, do the pose, do it. And I did it, and he was like, incorrect. And I was like, what do you mean incorrect? I'm 25 at the time. And, it was funny. And then now you ask me what my favorite and most important postures are. It's pyramid pose, Parsvottanasana, Setu Bandha Sarvangasana, supported shoulder stand, and Ardha Chandrasana, half moon on a chair. And it creates like a standing foundational posture. When I made that shift, Bryant, from seeing yoga rather as a destination but rather truly embodying what yoga aims to teach us. It is my favorite translation of samadhi, enlightenment, is absorption. It's creating this inner container of tools and knowing how and when to use them as self-reliant healing systems. So for that transmission of teacher to student, I love to teach that. But then here's the thing. I just taught a class in Denver. It was sold out. Reese was there. I'm so grateful to have been able to teach in Denver, a live class, had to wear masks, which was a total bummer, but whatever. I don't teach popular work. It's not a ass-kicking, fast vinyasa yoga class. It's complex. And it is basic. But if you really give it a chance, it is hard, and it will challenge you harder, I believe, than a level 3 vinyasa yoga class, whatever. And so to me, I'm like, I went from this space to wanting to be the popular teacher. I did. I really did. I went from a space of wanting to have tens and hundreds of thousands of followers on social media, and I got that from a point of this podcast. We have 350,000 listeners and downloads, and it's awesome.
We love you, listeners.
We love you so much. And for me, I went from this space of wanting to chase it from a ego, pride, wanting to be seen in the spotlight perspective, to then being able to go deeper into myself, go through the fucking ego death, and actually losing a best friend to be able to ask myself, what is important? Why am I spending so much money and so much time studying yoga each day, each year, each moment, each conversation? And when I got clear on that and I learned that transmission, self-reliant healing systems, I was like, all right, this isn't the popular work, and the people who want that kind of work to do the deep healing work of what yoga, one great ancient lineage practice in the world, can teach, will come, and they will seek me out to study. They'll seek my teachers out to study. They'll study with me. And it continues.
Yeah, this is such a perspective shift to hear and to be a part of and to be changed by you. So thank you. And I'm really excited for this information to continue to get out there, for you to continue to share your message. That being said, we're going to transition this conversation to a fun little game that came to me. And it's just going to be ask Alec a bunch of random questions so we all get to know him better. Yeah. And you don't think, you just got to say.
Let's go. I'm on
All
it.
right, ready?
Yep.
Okay, favorite song?
Pretty Lights, Cold Feeling. That's what the first thing that came to my mind. No, many people
Sing-
don't know. I saw 36 Pretty Light shows in my life.
Sing your favorite 2 lyrics from it.
It doesn't work like that with Pretty Lights.
Oh, really? Oh no! Is it just? Okay, I don't know the band.
It's
Okay,
it's electronic, but there's like it's
Okay.
it's a cold feeling, man. There's a cold feeling, and it's like this deep inner working. It worked me through life and death. That song, it's powerful. I love it.
Wow. Okay. Anyways, favorite food?
Sushi.
Meaning of life?
Love life.
Favorite color?
Green.
If you were naked, where would you be in the world?
Hawaii.
Waterfalls, ocean, or raindrops?
Waterfalls.
Favorite animal?
Monkey.
First kiss with who and where?
First kiss, first grade with Brooke Roberts. And then I told on her for kissing me. I told Miss Hardesty.
You told on Brooke?
Told
Bless her heart.
I know.
Favorite water source?
Ooh. In Colorado, an hour and a half from where I live in Boulder, is A Basin. And between A Basin Ski Resort and Keystone, halfway on the left, there's a water spout. And I go up there every couple weeks with around I'm looking at my water gallons, around 60 gallons of water and fill up water, man. Fresh water spring, baby.
That's great information for all of us. Thank you. Do you have any tattoos? And if so, which is your favorite one and what does it mean?
All right. I am doing the appropriate thing and unbuttoning my shirt for the YouTubers who decide to watch this. I have on my back, you see that?
Yes.
It is the Anahata Chakra, and it's all green with layers of green. And I got it when I was in my first year of practicing yoga because I was having a disruption in my relationship with my father at the time and not speaking to him for a long time. And I hated him, which was a facet of me hating myself. And when I went into yoga, I remember Amy Harris was teaching the class and I came out of Ustrasana, camel pose, and I watched all my hate, my anger, my resentment transform as I came out of camel pose and sat in Virasana hero's pose. This anger transmuted into acceptance, forgiveness, and love. And I told myself, if I can love and accept my father for who he is, I can love and accept everyone else in this planet for who they are, whether I like them or not, whether I agree with them or not. And that for me, the Anahata, unstruck, what that translates to, it just it was the Hanuman for me without knowing that at the time. And I told myself, I just had this profound experience. I felt this orb glowing in my chest. And I was like, I love tattoos. I want to get a tattoo of this experience. And I attracted the right artist and he only charged me $700 for that beautiful piece and touched it up. And I love that back tattoo. So that's my favorite tattoo. And I have 4 tattoos.
Beautiful. That's beautiful, beautiful tattoo. If you could tell the audience one thing they don't know about you, what would it be?
If I could tell the audience something that they don't know about me, it is that... Okay, so I'm an only child and my favorite color is green, always has been green. However, something that you might not know about me is that I have this vivid experience of being in my mom's womb. And I remember when I was 11 years old, I told my mom, I remember what it was like being in your belly. And I don't remember telling that to my mom when I was 11, but I do remember telling my mom when I was 7 or 6. And I had told her then, Mom, I remember what it's like being in your belly. Everything was green. And she tells me that I told her that then and when I was 11, but I don't remember telling her when I was 11, but I remember telling her when I was 7. And I have this just ever since then, the green. I'm just so attracted to all things green. I just love green, and so my back is green too. So that's one thing that they might not know about me. And then a fun fact that I don't like to tell people is that I totally pick my nose in public, and sometimes will
eat it.
Eat it.
No.
Yeah.
Is it oneness? I guess.
I don't know. The pattern that started in 4th grade, it just never stopped.
I don't know. I realized how.
And I have a fear of things going up my nose other than my fingers.
Oh, good. Well, you know what? Andrew has that pinky. That pinky melody. He like opens his natties with. He told me. He clears out his ears. I was like, "You're a legend."
I love this game right now.
It's so good. Okay, another thing. One book that changed your life. What is it and why?
How Yoga Works. I'm looking at I forget who it's by, but you just type at Google How Yoga Works. It's profound. It's not a true story, but it's amazing. Have you read it? You're nodding your head? No, you haven't. Okay. It's this old tale about this young girl who comes out of Tibet into India when it was very patriarchal based, and like women had no freedom at all. And she was traveling by herself with this dog, and she had this book that was covered in palm leaves, and it was Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, and she was well studied. She gets stopped by this officer, thrown in jail because she was seen guilty for stealing this ancient text, and she has to prove to the warden that she actually knows yoga by teaching him, healing him, helping him heal himself through the pathway of yoga. It's just a profound book that teaches the Yoga Sutras in a actual, practical, living your life day-to-day basis and how. So How Yoga Works was one of the first yoga books I read in my first few years, and it profoundly impacted me.
I will read that. What do you love most on your body?
What I love most on my body is what needs the most attention. And it changes. So right now I hold my shoulder lovingly because I've had a shoulder injury in the past from snowboarding, and a couple weeks ago I fell again, and I currently can't go into downward facing dog without a deep level of pain in my shoulder. And so right now I'm loving what has pain and where there's a leakage, there's a prana leak in my shoulder. And so this is the body part I love most.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
So beautiful. That's a wonderful practice too. I'm going to take that one with me. Thank you. There's so many good things coming through. One thing you wish for this world.
Clean water for everybody.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So I was asked to ask you to laugh for 6 seconds so we could all hear your laugh. Uninhibited.
Who asked me that?
I just want to hear it, actually. Beautiful. What's the nicest thing you've ever done for someone?
The nicest thing I've ever done for someone. Being there, I'm going to leave her name disclosed because she doesn't really like attention. It's a dear friend of mine who came into my life through my business, but didn't build the business. And we became dear brothers and sisters. And there has been in the past a deep wounding on the masculine within her. And she didn't trust men. And she definitely didn't trust me. But I felt that I was getting this message that I needed to keep showing up. So for me, what was really important at one time was going to California by myself in the car, driving and going to Zion and camping in Moab, and then going to our superfood convention in LA. And I was like, okay, well, actually Spirit's telling me that I need to invite her on this drive with me. Like, she's supposed to be there with me. And I really didn't want to do it. And I was fighting, but then like 3 days before I was like, yo, V, do you want to come with me? And to me, that's just standing out. Her birthday's coming up too in a couple of days. And that's just one of the things that was present to me, one of the nicest things that I've done, because it was also one of the nicest things I did for me. I thought I was doing it for her, but I was also doing it for me, because we impacted each other in a really potent way, and cultivating brotherhood and sisterhood and showing her what it means to be a good brother, a healthy, balanced masculine that doesn't have an agenda and is just here to be a friend, nothing to prove, nothing to receive or really even give other than presence. So that to me is one of the nicest things that I've done that's present for me right now. And that's such a interesting question. So that was the first thing that came to me, and I'd love to ruminate on that more and think about that. And actually something else that, no, that's enough. That's
good. I love that you got the download from spirit and then acted from there. I think that's beautiful. There's not really big or small miracles. There's just our connection to like the collective evolution and the highest thought. So everyone in the audience, including myself, we're going to give you some snaps for participating in this game. It's been such a pleasure to get to know you. We love you, Alec. Thank you so much for hosting this podcast for all of us. We're so appreciative. Yes, brother. Going into the deepest parts of your soul, right? Let's not waste time. If you were to die today and there was beings of light surrounding you, and they telepathically ask you a question in this underworld / heaven experience, and they say, how much did you love? And what did you learn? How would you answer?
I'd say that I loved openly, fierce, and hard, with opportunities for where I could learn to allow love to love me a little more. And the lessons that I've learned are, it's important to listen. It's important to be more interested than interesting. The lesson that I've learned is, seemingly against all odds, it all works out.
Can you explain that one a little more, just because it's so interesting?
Yeah. Sometimes it's just like, man, why is this happening to me? Or why isn't this thing happening yet to me? And when I've had that experience in my own life, and I've gotten back down to the daily intention of whatever it is I have to dive into in a practice, or just being present in a conversation, learning from someone else's experience of their own hardship, it's like, wow, okay, well, like I made it through that, right? Because I'm here right now, and everything's pretty blessed right now, and I've made it through that hardship. So it's like, against all odds, it does make it works itself out, and trusting that is the lesson, and trying to have fun with it. I wish I could tell, like, senior year in high school Alec, that it's all really okay. And I guarantee you that 40-year-old Alec wishes he could tell 30-year-old Alec, like, dude, enjoy the ride.
Totally. Totally. Yes. So much wisdom there. So much wisdom there. And you're so empowering to others as well, which I really look for in a friend. I feel like this is the age of hundreds of thousands of leaders and masters and people that appreciate and live a joyous life. That's how we're going to collectively change. It's not going to just be one person. And what if you could describe your authenticity and what you're bringing to the table? What are those qualities that you really respect and admire within yourself? And what has been the transition from maybe what we could have perceived as less productive decision-making, maybe like anger, even though we all know it's kind of the spectrum of love, but like anger, sadness, depression, and then how was that transitioned into who you are today, or have you always been this type of person?
I forgot the first part of the question, but I'll answer that second part of the question real quick. I was definitely not this person that I am right now, always. 10 years ago, I couldn't put my hands in front of my heart without being triggered. You know? I mean, I feel that for me, so much of my consciousness has come from plant medicine, psychedelics, and yoga. They've impacted my mind, my heart, my soul, and helped me awaken something within. Not saying that that's the pathway for everyone, but that was my pathway. And it took time for me to get to where I am. And I'm still working and still growing. I get triggered, I get reactive, and I'm just quick to naming it. You know, I'm quick to noticing it. I'm quick to acknowledging it. I'm quick to, for the most part, receive feedback. I am such a good student in that way. And that's also how I've risen in my own business. I'm in a mentorship culture that's wrapped in self-development. And I couldn't get to where I'm at without being open to feedback from others who are further along a path that I also want to be upon. So no, I haven't always been this way. And I'm not going to be this way in a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. The qualities that I admire in myself, that first part of the question I remember now is, it might be the combination of being an Aries. And either people like love me or they don't like me, and that is fine with me. Like I DGAF, like I'm really all good. And I also want more love and light and people in my life, but I've stopped caring if people don't like me. Just yesterday, someone reached out to me to tell me that I'm a fake yogi and this and that and wanted to start a fight with me. And I was just like, with love, like bless off. I don't receive your projection onto me. I literally don't care. Like one of my qualities is that I am unshakable. And whether you like me or not, I don't care because I love myself.
Oof.
And I know
that again
because I
initiate us in that wisdom.
Say to yourself, I do not care what others think or say about me, whether they believe in me or not, because I love myself and I believe in myself. And if I wane in that, I will go to the mirror and I will look at myself eye to eye. I'll get like right up close to it. And I will tell myself how much I love myself and how proud of myself I am if I ever start to wane. So that to me is like grit. Grit, man. And for all those business owners out there that are trying to boom and trying to go and trying to launch, all those yoga teachers that are trying to get their things started, it takes grit. And I've learned grit. And that's a quality that I love, and compassion and playfulness and being open. Like I love my ability to be in play amongst hardship too. And that's when other people can help me too, because I can get pretty serious from time to time. And someone like my beautiful partner, Annie, she's like the most playful human being and sexy yogi that I've always wanted in my life. And she helps create more play for me in my life. It's so beautiful. That's another quality I love about myself. And one more quality that I love about myself, Bryant, is the clairaudience that I have, the hearing into knowing, the clairsentience, those two experiences that spirit is channeling through to simply know.
That's beautiful. And clairsentience, clear feeling. I believe that everyone has, one of the clairs.
Yes.
Whatever it is, how have you cultivated your psychic abilities?
I'm not someone like, I've seen things once before in my life, and that was when I was in ayahuasca ceremony, and I was like, what in tarnation? This realm is always there? What? It was insane. It was a totally different story for another time. And that was something that just showed me, I was like, oh my God, like I've got a gift that's in a spiritual sense. Like I have friends who are like professional psychics and professional, all those things. Like that's not me. Like that's not me. That's not my path. That's not me. And like, I totally adhere. Like I'm in it. I'm with it. I'm cool. I drink that. And cause I am that. And I started to cultivate it when I wanted to ask my guides for help. I said to the universe, I said to my guides, I want to learn this. I want to feel deeper. Show me, guides, angels, how is it that I may feel? And may you be so kind to welcome this energy into my life. Thank you. Putting my hands out on the top of a mountaintop and waiting until I feel hands come out and reach me, and to feel the presence of divine angelic beings around me. I don't talk like that a lot. I don't talk like that a lot because I don't reveal that a lot, and that's how I've cultivated that.
Interesting, like through the secrecy of those experiences and internalizing them and keeping them sacred, in a way.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Which connects you to your intuition, which gives you more fuck yeses, and you can kind of, it's like living a yes life is so powerful because you have the whole universe working through you and to you. Question, I really enjoy the way you use and. I feel like it's a code. You're always flowing. There's not one but in your sequence. It's like, and this is also the most delicious thing in the world. And here's how I add more love to the conversation. Can you give us that download? Because I feel like people can really benefit from that process that you use.
Have you ever been in a conversation with a partner that the relationship's about to end? Maybe when we were younger, in high school or like in college, when like maybe before the entryway into like conscious awareness to the power of your words. Like, so you can ask yourself that, maybe yes or no, whatever it is. For me, it came when, I was being broken up with, and it was like, I love you, listing all these great qualities, but boom, 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 domino effect. And to me, it's just like the moment you say all these great things, but it negates everything that you just said. And that's why I believe that in the power of the but. So it's like, I wanted to create my own intentionality around the power of my words, and I always have space to grow, and man, every time I see the but coming, I just intentionally say and if I do say but, I'll be like, I'll say blah, 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 but, and I mean to say not but, and I'll repeat the sentence and I'll like bring that into the conversation. I've said that on a presentation before. I've done that because it's important, and that energy is felt.
Yes, completely. I really feel it when you do it. That's such a good tip for us all. What is there a practice you would like to offer? Maybe a couple minute practice that we could take away? I know you have so much beautiful wisdom, but maybe something that can connect us to our hearts. Such a green conversation.
I love it. Yes. I want to offer a bandha. It's a mudra. So a bandha is a lock of energy, and a mudra is when 2 points become one and they create this connection. It's not necessarily tapped into a heart-based practice. However, it is something that I feel helps us bring a greater sense of embodiment and presence overall. So it's called Jiva Bandha. It is the loop of the soul. It's access to the subtle body. And you can do it whether you're driving, you're sitting, you're doing whatever. You can just take a moment and try this. So let your lips be touching, but not touching. It's involving the tongue. And let your teeth separate. Just let your tongue rest right into where it's just sitting below the lower piece of the lower mandible, the lower jaw. And let the eyes close if you're able to, and lift the tongue up so the tip of the tongue comes to the top 2 front teeth where it meets the enamel of the gum. So right where the top 2 front teeth become the hard part of the gum, and lightly apply pressure with the tip of the tongue, and see how slowly you can approach the tip of the tongue to create this connection point, this mudra point of 2 points becoming one. And just witness the connection once it's made. So it softens the jawline on a physical level. On a subtle body level, in meditation, I'll come here while bringing the gaze of the eye to the inside of the head where the pineal gland is, going straight in and back. Looking at the bridge of the nose and going straight in and back while cultivating Jiva Bandha, this tip of the tongue with the top two front teeth. And the elements lie upon the roof of the mouth. I believe it goes air, water, earth, fire, ether, along the back palate of the mouth. And as you're ready, you can release your tongue and soften your jaw and open your eyes if your eyes were closed. And that's something that I use in yoga asana, in pranayama, in meditation, in conversations that are hard for me, when I'm driving, when I'm bored, and I want to do something fun. I've had really potent experiences. And at first, when you're doing this with your tongue will get really tired. After maybe a minute or even 2 or 3, cultivating up to 5 minutes with that, your mouth will get tired because you're working a different muscle, the tongue muscle. Yeah. And it's such a profound mudra point. I love it.
It's so funny because it's just like, Alec, can you please show us practice? Then you're like, all right, put the tongue to the roof of your mouth. You know what I mean? It's like that one thing. But the way you dissected it and the study and experience that you've had with it has expanded my awareness within that. The thing I use every day, I do that practice every day, but not like that, you know? So thank you for that. That's beautiful.
And it's so fun where like, I'll just tilt the tongue up and slowly begin to magnetize it to that tip of the point and feel the energy between my tongue and the roof of my mouth. It is so fun to me.
And then you also said to bring your awareness in your pineal gland, the tip of your nose, and then move it back into the center of your head.
So it's like, I don't know how to do it with my eyes open, but you know, I close the eyes down top to bottom and I bring the gaze of my eyes to the center of my head while taking the eyes in and looking in and back with the tip of the tongue. So I've created this pillar point, this yes. golden light of golden pillar of light down the center line of my plum body. And I'm just going deep in there at that point.
So deep. That's so deep. Because in Chinese medicine, like microcosmic orbit, that allows you to run your energy in that orbit. Wow. But then like even the subtleties, it's like, you're like, oof, love that. And that's like through in-depth study, you find these kind of different nuggets of wisdom. And, you know, I could sit here and interview you all day. I've learned so much. And I know everyone is so grateful for you, brother. We're going to finish this conversation with, if you had some nuggets of wisdom that you could offer us as a closing statement, what would they be?
A golden nugget of wisdom today is to be easy. Be easy on yourself. Be easy on yourself, for nobody wears a sign, not even yourself. You don't wear a sign to show the world how you're doing. And if you need to take that rest day, take it and be welcoming to the energy that comes through with that. Take yourself easy. We're all in this together. We're in a global pandemic and we are in this together. It's all going to work out. And it's love. Yeah.
Thank you, brother. This is the Yoga Revealed podcast.
The honorary co-host, Bryant Wood.
I commit to coming on once a year and interviewing you. Just letting you know.
Let's go. Next time it's in person.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be great.
Thank you so much, brother.
Dude, absolute pleasure. There's so much there. It's just endless. Thank you for sharing your journey. I know.
Namaste.
And that is all for the Yoga Revealed podcast today. Just deep gratitude for Alec and Andrew for creating such a sacred space, and so much love to everyone that is listening right now. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to Alec on Instagram at Alec Love Life Yoga, or myself, Bryant.give. And we would love it if you could share this with your friends, your family, or on your social channels to show some support. We're pouring our whole heart into every single moment, and we're so appreciative to create this community and bring you along with us on this journey. We're so much stronger together. And one thing I would love to vibrate into the space is when you see the light inside, you see clearly. I love you. Blessings.